by forever demonologist, satanic Bible, vast infinite knowledge, freestyle artist. Demons would often try to make me feel some negative emotion like hatred or contempt, because the only way I could become vulnerable to them is if I indulged in some negative emotion in their presence. In the realm of hatred and anger and other negative emotions, demons are the masters. Time is ticking away. How many souls will I capture today? Will they be a challenge, or will they be given? Only time will tell, as the clock keeps ticking. Your God has arrived with enough hatred for y'all, with enough evil for the big and the small. So come one, come all. I will shred your souls and place them in my satchel, call you a settler, and make you my peddler. Come on, come all, come stand behind your God. I'll lead you into the darkness of earth's end. Come one, come all, my wilted flowers. Come claim your title, speak out and cheer it. Come one, come all, let's have a ball, my wilted flowers. Sweet, unconquerable spirits. He who writes is the martyr, seen through the eyes of the unassuming Tao. Keep away, the so is mine, that the world of today presents. All the symptoms of demonic possession, the spell conjured and created, a magnum opus, a bittersweet, the sinister minister at work, his face reddened from heat, leaden lights, a shady grasp, a blood packed with monstrosities, free fallen drunk into darkness on trade winds of a pomposity. A battering ram breaches discovery, a beaming grin breaks to sweat, dark entities screeched their claim, swept down to hell as a new pet. Personality projection is well documented. In fact, it's the second most common cause of so-called demonic possession, the most common being schizophrenia. A demon cannot be doped. In modern psychology, the demons are aspects of the psyche, and shamanic terms of demons are aspects of the shadow body, the hidden aspect of the personality that abuses other people in order to gain power, known as divine love. The shadow body is the subtle body, composed of 12 layers of anti-matter hooked to the human body. The shadow body influences the angular rotation of particle spin that creates emotion like fear. The subtle body, or shadow body, is not evil. You do not want to disown the shadow body, as that creates soul loss. The shadow body is a way shower to your needs. Jealous looks at earthly prowl, or unbound by a fleshly form, seen under darkness cowl, agitated ghost, or hellspawn. Violence torments it from sleep, or trapped inside by exorcist bait. A hex glances corrupted weep as redress, or perdition, a state, a jinx trails of ashen flame, unheard wails for living aid, or a gate crash, our human frame, as night and sunrise trade. I eventually rediscovered from the fevers, but then I started talking to myself. It turned out that I had an imaginary friend. They asked me who this friend was. I told them it was a tiger. At first they thought I was just talking nonsense. After a while they found scratch marks high on the walls, on the ceiling, on my pillows and bedsheet that could only be done by me, but I swore blind that I wasn't my doing. Don't let the devil hear your weeping, or darkness comes as your friend, saying God sent it to save you and be with you until the end. A tail wrapped around you, snugly, gripped firmly, and meaty claws. Only then get its beastly odor, against which where should be laws. Dance me infernals, fiery rim, a spite and bile, and your begging bowel, a bowl, a paper cut, blood, a packed union to steal away your purest soul. Some peoples, devoid of empathy and humanity, serve as agents of darkness, leaving a trail of hurt and despair in your wake, revealing the severe absence of light in their souls. Swallow my leg whole, my soul whole, like an egg roll into the black hole. Demonic possession swallowing me whole, like an egg roll into the black hole. But when his accusers rose to speak, they brought none of the charges I was expecting. Spitting and rapping forever and ever, I said. Exorcism, infinitism, anti-establishmentarianism, recalibration, infinitism of the rhymatism. But when his accusers rose to speak, they brought none of the charges I was expecting. They merely had several points of disagreement with him about their peculiar religion and about someone called Jesus, a dead man whom Paul alleged to be alive. Jonathan read, I'm fascinated by the story. There were so many interesting details, but then he paused. Was it the true story? It said it was. Jesus was an exorcist, spent most of his time casting out demons, spent rapping, rhyming. Jeremy, I'll say this once. Jonathan, began, I'm not going to be drawn into any silly squabble you want to invent. I am not going to defend my recent behavior in the village or anywhere else. I'm not going to tell you my plans. I have had reasons for everything I've done and had a great deal of thinking has gone into my recent, very painful decisions. Spitting, rapping forever, I said. The painting was now all finished. She would leave the mask and tape on till it dried. It was satisfying to do this a job with a beginning, middle, and end, and people to have dinner with. Don't think about it. Keep busy. Got no money anyway. Stop it. The girl jumped out of her chair. Stop torturing me. Stop pretending you didn't know each other. You planned all this, and then you waited for a wet day, and then he was going to come in, and then there is this story, and then he'd send the photos off. Stop it, leave me alone. She rushed to the door and tore it open and vanished down the hotel stairs. Since the primary motive of the evil is in the skies, one of the places evil people are most likely to be found is within a church. What better way to conceal one's evil from oneself as well as from others than to be a deacon or some other highly visible form of Christian within our culture? A demon and an angel, a demon of night disguised as an angel of light in disguise. I gave examples from my clinical practice of how love was not wholly a thought or feeling. I told of how that very evening there would be some man sitting at a bar in the local village crying into his beer and sputtering to the bartender how much he loved his wife and children, while at the same time he was wasting his family's money and depriving them of his attention. He recounted how this man was thinking love and feeling love were they not real? Tears in his eyes, but he was not in truth behaving with love. Horror immobilizes us because it is made of contradictory feelings, fear and seduction, repulsion and attraction. Horror is a fascination. Horror is immobility, a great yawn of empty space, the womb and the hole and the earth, the universal mother and the great garbage heap. With horror, we cannot have recourse to flight or combat. There remains only adoration or exorcism. You shouldn't believe all the press about Ouija boards. They can't be used in an exorcism. A Trivial Pursuit can, but that's another story. Shrouded as he was for a decade in an apparent cloak of anonymity to and obscurity, Osama bin Laden was by no means an invisible man. He was ubiquitous and palpable, and both in a physical and a spectral form, to the extent that his death took on something of the feel of an exorcism. It is satisfying to know that before the end came, he had begun at least to guess at the magnitude of his 9/11 mistake. It is essential to remember that his most fanatical and militant deputy, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, did not just leave his corpse in Iraq, but was isolated and repudiated even by the minority Sunnis on whose presumed behalf he spilled so much blood and raw such hectic destruction. It is even more gratifying that bin Laden himself was exposed as an exorcist on the putrid body of a bankrupt and a brutish state machine, and that he found himself quite unable to make any coherent comment on the tide. One hopes that it is a tide rather than a mere wave of demand for an accountable and secular form of civil society. There could not have been a finer affirmation of the force of life, so warmly and authentically counterposed to the historical celebration of death, and of that death in life that is experienced in the stultifications of theocracy, where womanhood and music and literature are stifled and young men mutated into robotic slaughterers. Rapper forever, slaughterer, rhymer. I'm a slaughterer, rapper, rhymer, a spitter forever. Sometimes people close the door because they're trying to figure out a way to get you to knock your melancholy or depression along with 9/10 of the afflictions I've studied, diagnosed, attempted to treat. Call them whatever you like, but they're just different names for loneliness. That's what lets the darkness in. That's what you have to fight. Sometimes monsters are real. Tess said, rolling over, leaving me alone with the ladybug staring up at me, even if they don't look like monsters. Missing someone feels like hunger. an insatiable emptiness right at the core of yourself. Tell me this, what is it with men and feeling like they have to act like some like self-destructive superheroes whenever a trouble shows up? It's the only way we know how to love. Darkness isn't the matter from which the Antichrist is formed, but intelligence, foreknowledge. We need to talk, she says, the foremost dreaded words in the history of marriage. I've seen the photos, he said. Photos are never the same as the real thing, I said. There are things in this world most of us never see. I find myself saying we've trained ourselves not to see them or try to pretend we didn't if we do, but there's a reason why, no matter how sophisticated or primitive, every religion has demons. There's no reality but versions of reality. Cancer is a kind of possession too, and like a demon before it claims you, it nibbles away at who you are, erases the face you have, always presented to the world to show the unwanted thing inside. Last night I had the dream again, except it's not a dream. I know because when it comes for me, I'm still awake. There's my desk, the map on the wall, the stuffed animals I don't play with anymore, but don't want to hurt Dad's feelings by sticking in the closet. I might be in bed. I might be just standing there looking for a missing sock. Then I'm gone. It just doesn't just show me something. This time it takes me from here to there, standing on the bank of a river of fire, 1,000 wasps in my head fighting and dying inside my skull, their bodies piling up against the backs of me, and my eyes steaming and steaming. Dad's voice somewhere across the river calling my name. I've never heard him sound like that before. He's so frightened. He can't hide it, even though he tries. He always tries. The dead boy floats by face down, so I wait for his head to pop up, show the holes where his eyes used to be, say something with his blue lips on one of the terrible things it might make him do, but he just passes like a chunk of wood. I've never been here before, but I know it's real. The river is the line between this place and the other place, and I'm on the wrong side. There's a dark forest behind me, but that's not what it is. I try to get to where Dad is. My toes touch the river, and it sings with pain. Then there's arms pulling me back, dragging me into the trees. They feel like a man's arms, but it's not a man that sticks his fingers into my mouth, nails that scratch the back of my throat, skin that tastes like dirt. But just before that, before I'm back in my room with my missing sock in my hand, I realize I've been calling out to Dad just like he's been calling out to me, telling him the same thing the whole time, not words from my mouth, through the air, but from my heart, through the earth, so only the two of us could hear it. Find me. Grief has a color. It has other characteristics I know now, collectively forming a personality of sorts, and antagonizing figure that arrives in your life and refuses to leave or sit anywhere but next to you, or stop whispering the name of the departed in your ear. All my life I have been pursued by the black dogs of unaccountable gloom. I've never been able to figure out what you're so scared of, but there's something in you that's got you backed into a corner so tight your eyes are closed against it. She says you don't have to tell me what it is. I bet you don't even know yourself. But here's the thing. I probably won't be around for you when you face it down. I wish I could be, but I won't. You're going to need someone. You won't make it if you're alone. I don't know of anyone who could. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. I hope, Buddha, Gandhi, Confucius, Toyota, Yamaha, Polaris, spit and telekinesis, photosynthesis. I remember about the inside of the house Joel went on was that the radio wasn't playing. It was buzzing, like it was picking up static. Anyway, we got out of the house and decided to run up to a university campus to call somebody. I'll never forget that. There were dogs outside, and when they saw us running, they started to run with us too. But when they got close, they ran backwards, and the birds, as we ran along, the whole woods were full of screeching birds. The best way to get a handle on the subject would be to ask the experts. Ben, haven't you heard? Demonologists. As a psychologist Carl Jung once said, if our civilization were to perish, it would be due more to stupidity than to evil. Apparently they go with the bullet, and not every strange question has a strange answer. Power makes slaves of us all. A habit, and a habit unchecked becomes a necessity. However, as Ed notes, apart from my one scriptural interpretation, vile and human spirits do roam the earth today, and when commanded to speak to spirits, reply is a grave one. My name is Legion. We are one. It is also true that these spirits possesses overwhelming powers and work with a ferocious rage, malice, and spite against mankind. I believe the only protection man can summon against these negative forces is mention of the name of God, although more particularly Jesus in the presentation of blessed objects. Otherwise, nothing will stay of these bizarre spirit entities spent for eternity. And in general, at a search for a pair of psychologists looking for one thing and one thing only, a link between unusual phenomena. The shit is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-N. Demonology phenomena. The shit is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-N. The word of sorcery is a Latin word which is taken from casting of the lot, and therefore he that uses it is called sortiarius, sorte, as to the word of witchcraft. It is nothing but a proper name given in our language, the cause wherefore they were called sortari, as proceeded of their practices seeming to come a lot or chance, such as the turning of the riddle, the knowing of the form of prayers, or such like tokens. If a person diseased will live or die, and in general that name was given to them for using of such charms and frights as that crafts teaches them. Now as to the magician's part of the contact, it is in the word that thing which I said before, the devil hunts for in all men. There are two things which the learned have observed from the beginning in the science of the heavenly creatures, the planets, stars, and such like. The one is their course and their ordinary motions, which for that cause is called astronomy, which word is a compound of pneumos and asteron, that is to say, the law of the stars. And this art is indeed one of the members of the mathematics, not only lawful, but most necessary and commendable. The other is called astrology, being compounded of asteron and logos, which is to say, the word and preaching of the stars. Spent from afar, even by these free passions that are within ourselves, curiosity and great imaginings, thrift, our revenge for some torties, a deeply apprehended or greedy appetite of gear caused through great poverty. As to the first of these, curiosity, it is only the enticement of magicians or necromancers, and the other two are the allures of the sorcerers or witches. For that old and crafty serpent, being a spirit, he easily pays our affections, and so conforms himself thereto, do deceive us to our wrath. Spend a half, spend a spat, spend all night and all day. Away goes today. Demonology, a knowledge, okay? I think the biggest lie the devil ever told was that beauty and goodness are the same. A demoness is helpless when held by her hair, for the words of a vow are sacred not alone only among men and the angels, but among the devils as well. Did his majesty did much press for my opinion touching the power of Satan and matters of witchcraft, and asked me with much gravity if I did truly understand why the devil did work more with ancient women than others. I did not refrain from a scurvy jest, and even said, notwithstanding to whom it was said that we were taught hereof in a scripture, where it is told that the devil walketh in dry places, more serious discourse did not the next ensue. I can catch demons, but people cry when I do that, and then I'm blamed for trying to control them. How convenient that the excuse of someone trapped in hell is that I'm manipulating her into getting out of it. That's how they see help, as an attack that must be defended at all cost. They can't see that your soul is in the hands of Satan already. He is the one instigator their fears and anger, as if they were just a puppet. They can't see that I pay a very heavy emotional, mental, and physical price every time I try to rescue one of the trapped souls. Every time I love someone that doesn't know what love is anymore. Spent from afar adore. Forevermore, just flown from the Polonian shore. I'm a tortured artist forevermore. Have you ever been pinned down where you're unable to move and talk, or can't even open your eyes? Have you ever experienced a trouble in presence and once told this be as a bull in private? Tell them just enough of the truth to gain their trust, and they'll believe the small lie between the cracks. I shall fictionalize it more. I should conceal myself. I should consider the responsibilities of characterization. I should conflate her two children into one, or reverse their genders, or otherwise alter them. I should make her a boyfriend, a husband. I should explicate explicate all the tributaries of my extended family, its remarriages, and its enter and the sign of politics. I should novelize the whole thing. I should make it multi-generational. I should work and my forefathers, stonemasons, and newspaper men. I should let artifice create an elegant surface. I should make the events orderly. I should wait and write about it later. I should wait until I'm not angry. I shouldn't clutter a narrative with fragments, with mere recollections of good times or with regrets. I should make a Meredith's a death shapely and persuasive, not blunt and disjunctive. I shouldn't have to think the unthinkable. I shouldn't have to suffer. I should address her more directly. These are the ways I miss you. I should write only of affection. I should make our travels in this earthly landscape safe and secure. I should have a better ending. I shouldn't say her life was short and often sad. I shouldn't say she had her demons as I do. Catholic gossip and folklore, as one might term it, contributed to this demonizing legend around the conflict with the Protestants at Aguila, and Brabant. It was reported that the demons suddenly left all the possessed people so that they could attend Luther's funeral at St. Bernard's, a church in Paris, a Calvinist and iconoclast allegedly broke all the windows except that in gratitude they left one which showed a red devil in several other places, including St. Paul's in London. Iconoclastic mobs left only depictions of devils untouched, angels and a demon. She's in 1,000 deserts, drowning in semen. Demons and an angel both just want to hike their skirts, take turns with the label, well, bless their checkered hearts. Understanding the nature and power of demons has always been an exceedingly challenging endeavor. It is not surprising that demons wield great power during this time and at any other, as they are said to thrive in darkness. This is where the phrase power of darkness in sacred literature originates. Ben, haven't you heard that the bird is the word? I ain't got to say a word. I just flip on the bird and keep going out and take shit from no one. I must be a criminal spitting, subliminal. Love is one of the most intense feelings felt by a man. Another is hate, forcing yourself to feel and discriminate. Love is very unnatural. If you try to love everyone, you only lessen your feelings for those who deserve your love. Repressed hatred can lead to many physical and emotional ailments. By learning to release your hatred toward those who deserve it, you cleanse yourself of these malignant emotions. Need not take your pent-up hatred out on your loved ones. Why should I not hate mine enemies if I love them? Does that not place me at their mercy? When a Satanist comments wrong, he realizes that it is natural to make a mistake. And if he is truly sorry about what he has done, he will learn from it and take care and not to do the same thing again. If he is not honestly sorry about what he has done and knows he will do the same thing over and over, he has no business confess and ask forgiveness in the first place. Blessed are the destroyers of false hope, for they are the true messiahs. Accursed are the God adorers, for they shall be shorn sheep. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, as he has kept it in the busyness all these years. Satanism advocates practicing a modified form of the golden rule. Our interpretation of this rule is do unto others as they do unto you, because if you do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and they in turn treat you badly, it goes against human nature. Continue to treat them with consideration. You should do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But if your courtesy is not returned, they should be treated with the wrath they deserve. The person who takes every opportunity to pick on others is often mistakenly called sadistic. In reality, this person is a misdirected masochist who is working towards his own destruction for a reason. A person viciously strikes out against you is because they are afraid of you or what you represent, or are resentful of your happiness. They are weak and secure and on extremely shaky ground when you throw your curse, and they make ideal human sacrifices. I break away from all conventions that do not lead to my earthly success and happiness. There is nothing inherently sacred about moral codes like the wooden idols of long ago. They are the work of human hands, and what man has made, man can destroy. But real Satanist is not quite so easily recognized as such. On Saturday night, I would see men lusting after half-naked girls dancing at the carnival, and on Sunday morning, when I was playing organ for a tent show, evangelists at the other end of a carnival lot, I would see these same men sitting in the pews with their wives and children, asking God to forgive them and purge them of carnal desires. And the next Saturday, they'd be back at a carnival or some other place of indulgence. I knew then that the Christian church thrives on hypocrisy, and that man's carnal nature will outknow, no matter how much it is purged or scored by any white light religion. Satan wanted us all to be forced to abide by the Ten Commandments. Satan wanted us all to be forced to abide by the Ten Commandments like robots, but God gave us freedom of choice. Behold, ahoy, even with all their threats of eternal damnation, and soul roasting Christian missionaries have run across some who were not so quick to swallow their drivel. Pleasure and pain like beauty are on the eye of the beholder. So when missionaries ventured to Alaska and warned the Eskimos of the horrors of hell and the blazing lake of fire awaiting transgressors, they eagerly asked, how do we get there? Some religions actually go so far as to label anyone who belongs to a religious sect not other than their own heretic, even though the overall doctrines and impressions of godliness are nearly the same. For example, if Catholics believe the Protestants are doomed to hell simply because they do not belong to the Catholic Church. In the same way, many splinter groups of the Christian faith, such as the evangelical or revivalist churches, believe the Catholics worship graven images. Christ is depicted in the image that is most physiologically akin to the individual worshiping him, and yet the Christians criticize heathens for the worship of graven images, and the Jews have always been given the devil's name, insane. The other exception to a rule regards dealings with masochists. The masochist derives pleasure from being hurt, so denying the masochist's pleasure through pain hurts him just as much as actual physical pain hurts the non-masochist. The story of a cruel sadist illustrates this point. The masochist says to the sadist, beat me, to which the merciless sadist replies, no, if a person wants to be hurt and enjoy suffering, then there is no reason not to indulge him in his won't. Satan has certainly been the best friend of the church has ever had, as he kept it in business all of these years. Satanism has been frequently misinterpreted as devil worship, when in fact it constitutes a clear rejection of all forms of worship as a desirable component of the personality. Do unto others as they do unto you. Satanism condones any type of sexual activity which properly satisfies your individual desires, be it heterosexual, homosexual, bisexual, or even asexual, if you choose. Satanism also sanctions any fetish or a deviation which will enhance your sex life so long as it involves no one who does not wish to be involved. The press and I asked myself, where is God? I came to detest a sanctimonious attitude of people toward violence, always saying it's God's will. Satanists are encouraged to indulge in the 7 deadly sins as they need hurt and no one. They were only invented by the Christian church to ensure a guilt on the part of its followers. The Christian church knows that it is impossible for anyone to avoid committing these sins, as they are all things which we, being human, most naturally do after inevitably committing these sins. Financial offerings go to the church in order to pay off God, are employed as a soap to a parishioner's conscience. Satan has certainly been the best friend of the church has ever had. He kept it in business all these years. The false doctrine of hell and the devil has allowed the Protestant and Catholic churches to flourish far too long without a devil to point their fingers at. Religionists of the right-hand path would have nothing with which to threaten their followers. Satan leads you to temptation. Satan is the prince of evil. Satan is vicious, cruel, brutal. They warn, if you give in to the temptations of the devil, you will surely suffer eternal damnation and roast in hell. The semantic meaning of Satan is the adversary or opposition or the accuser. The very word devil comes from the Indian Devi, which means God. Satan represents opposition to all religions, which serve to frustrate and condemn man for his natural instincts. He has been given an evil role simply because he represents the carnal, earthly, and mundane aspects of life. Spent satanic rhymes, the most dangerous of all, enthroned, the most dangerous of all, enthroned lies, is the holy, the sanctified, the privileged lie everyone believes to be a model truth. It is the fruitful mother of all other popular errors and delusions. It is a hydra-headed tree of unreason with 1,000 roots. It is a social cancer. I'm learning satanic nature forever. You gotta learn thy devil. You gotta learn thy enemy. Hold your friends close and your enemies closer. Learning satanic energy, demonology. Anyone who thinks of Satan as evil should consider all the men, women, children, and animals who have died because it was God's will. Certainly a person grieving the ultimate, untimely loss of a loved one who would much rather have their loved one with them than in God's hands. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I'm a Satanist, a demonologist, a revolutionist, a revelation, infinite equation, a syllable decapitation, disembowelment, syllable empowerment.